Now, and I will mute everyone. Good morning and welcome to Rotary. Welcome to the beautiful Creston Valley. This morning we have guests which we will introduce shortly, but let us begin with a couple of national anthems. First, let's honor America with, not that one. By Shaw. And O Canada. Welcome back and welcome to Rotary this morning. Glad to see that we have a full list of screens, some people coming back, and a couple of guests who we will introduce as time comes along. Welcome to Johnny and to Scott, who have joined us during the national anthems. This morning, I would like you all to unmute yourself, and together we will say the four-way test of Rotary. Unmute yourselves. Together, the four-way test of Rotary of the things we think, say, or do. Number one.
The truth.
Number two.
Fair to all concerns.
Number three.
Will it build goodwill, better friendships?
And number four.
Will it be beneficial
to all concerned?
Thank you. And
This is fun.
Great to have everyone joining in. Mute everyone back up as we move on. As I said, we have two guests this morning, Andrew Bakkum from La Crosse, Wisconsin, and Danny Turner, our guest speaker, who will be introduced formally and will introduce himself during our program. This morning, we have a new item. It was going to be our Rotary moment, but I'm saving that for one of our guests, and I'm going to surprise him with some questions. Just a heads up, Andy. But our Rotary moment will be live this week. But today, I am going to do a new feature. It's called In the News. And I will just share with you a highlight from the House of Commons in Ottawa this past week. This is our Member of Parliament called on by the Speaker. Let me get this up, and I hope I don't do any commercials for anyone. This is the Speaker of the House and the Member in Parliament, and it was just this past week.
The Honourable Member for Kootenay, Columbia.
Mr. Speaker, local farm kid Clarence C.B. Lang took his first job at the Hushcroft Sawmill in Creston, BC. It was a chance flight with an RCAF World War II flight instructor, Ken Hushcroft, who owned the sawmill, where Lang discovered his passion for flight, joining the Royal Canadian Air Force the following year. Clarence was chosen to fly the difficult slot position with the famed Golden Hawks. In 1966, he was a squadron leader of the Golden Centenaires, formed to celebrate Canada's 100th birthday. They flew over 100 shows and were the only Air Force aerobatic unit to land and take off in formation, considered the best in the world. In fact, commander of the American Thunderbird said it was the finest exhibition of precision flying ever seen. Colonel Clarence Lang retired to Creston. Hushcroft's son Johnny purchased a Golden Centenaire Tudor and is now working to pedestal the Ionic plane near Creston this summer, hoping to one day see the snowbirds fly over. Mr. Speaker, today I'd like to acknowledge Johnny Hushcroft, his team, and the important works to secure the legacy of this hero, Clarence C.P. Lang.
The Honourable Member for Mississauga East. The Honourable Member for Kootenay, Columbia.
Mr. Speaker, local farm kid Clarence C.B. Lang took his first job.
So, special in the news. Creston was in the news this week. We have Johnny Hushcroft. He is with us. Johnny has promised to present a full program on his plans to return that. But what I promised Johnny what I would do is I would show a couple of photos, and let me share my screen with a couple of photos from the Golden Centenaires that Johnny shared with me. And then I'm going to ask him for a quick comment about this news item. So these are the Golden Centenaires in flight, part of the Royal Canadian Air Force. The Golden Centenaires, the first team in the world to take off and land 8 aircraft all at once in formation, with a history starting in Creston. This is in Fort McMurray, and this is Johnny's plan. This is the letter from the commander of the United States Air Force, Thunderbirds, I forget what the name of their, who lauding the Canadian as the best in the world. In any event, Johnny, we are looking forward to the program. I know that this morning, if we asked you to talk about this, we would have to extend our program into 9:30 this morning, and we don't have that time. But we as a club are so looking forward to a complete program, hearing about this aviation history, not just starting with your dad or with Clarence or with one of our other members, Bill Piper. There's so much history of aviation in this community, and we as a club, I hope, will be able to support you in that venture. Johnny, just any quick comment that you wanted to share? If you can you put your unmute yourself?
Can you hear me, David?
Yes, Johnny, just a quick comment about the program that you plan to present for us.
Oh, you mean what I'm going? Well, I haven't really got a plan, but I'll tell you about Clarence and what we're trying to do. And maybe ask you for some help, if that's what you mean.
No, well, I think you're going to give us the program, but thank you for that. I'll just leave it at that for now. If we have time at the end of the meeting, we'll come back to that. But Johnny, just so that you all know, Johnny has one of those aircraft back in a warehouse, and he's trying to bring it here to Creston and make it a feature of our community. So Johnny, thank you for doing that. And your dad, and Creston were in the news this week. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Next, we have a Rotary moment. I would like our guest, and he's not new to any of you. Maybe Danny doesn't know this man, but this man, Andrew Bakkum, is the president of the Rotary Club of La Crosse, Wisconsin. And Andy and I had the privilege of leading each of our clubs to a very special time last month. So Andy, our Rotary moment today, completely unrehearsed, is 5 questions with Andy. And it's not Andy asking the question. So Andrew, welcome to our meeting.
Well, thank you. And I had no knowledge of this, so I appreciate it, Dave. Putting me on the spot is good.
I have every confidence in you because I've watched you do this many times. Andrew, or Andy, as we know you. Andy, you have a family and a couple of children. Could you tell us their names and just a little bit about your family?
Yeah, absolutely. So my wife, Beth, and I, Beth is a librarian here, and we have 2 boys, age 15 and 11. Ben is our oldest. He is a musician and very artsy, very smart young man. He's a freshman in high school. And then Henry is in 5th grade, and Henry is 11, and he is our jock. So everything sports. He plays baseball right now, and then football and hockey. So we're always running with him. So
Andy, you are, and I see from your, yeah, go ahead.
Dave, I got to throw in our dog, Toby. So he's a yellow lab. He is a big part of the family.
Thank you. And I know from your email that you're an investment banker. I know that you acknowledged some issues with math, but how did you get into banking? And tell us a little bit about your career.
Yeah, so originally I went to school to be an engineer and found out I was a little too social to be an engineer, apparently, which means I drank too much, I think. But then kind of the school I was going to also had business. So I moved into business and then kind of started my working career down in Milwaukee, working for a finance company, and then moved to a bank down there and ended up moving with a bank. My wife was 8.5 months pregnant at the time. Then we moved from Milwaukee back to La Crosse, and because this was where home was and family was here. So we started our family here in La Crosse, and have just been living in the banking world ever since. So, yep.
So we had a great view of La Crosse, and over my shoulder is your riverfront, very much a highlight. If I came to La Crosse, or when we come to La Crosse, what's your favorite thing that you're going to show us?
Well, we already put money in the budget for it. So next year's budget, there is money for anybody from Creston who would like to visit, because we are planning on having you visit. So that's good news. Favorite thing here that I would like to show you, out in the country, not so much the river or Grandad's Bluffs. So those are basically the touristy areas. But I'd like to take you out to my family farm that I had growing up, and take you on a hike out there, maybe get on a 4-wheeler, or take a tractor ride or something like that, and just show you the immense beauty that all the valleys have here. So that would be my favorite place. I've got a particular cliff out there where I like to just go and sit and think. So that's where I would probably take you.
Sounds great, and we look forward to it. So this has been an interesting year. I use the word in quotes for anyone, but in Rotary and the whole business. What has been your Rotary moment this year as president?
This year, it's been a truly amazing year. Actually, it's been challenging. I would honestly say it was when you came and did your program for us, Dave. That really came full circle, and to hear some of the feedback from our Rotarians was absolutely amazing. We had one lady who she's a nun, but she's in our club, and she is one of our toughest critics. And she said that was one of the greatest programs we have ever had as a Rotary Club. So that really made my day. And to be able to do that and contribute to that was absolutely amazing. So I think this friendship has been probably my Rotary moment of the year.
Well, thank you. That was unrehearsed. It wasn't planned. I know that we've all had a busy and interesting year. It certainly was one of our highlights. And you know the last question, what does it mean to you?
It means so much. Your first question with family, I think that's really what got me going in Rotary, was to be able to include my family in some of these projects, and for my boys to see that giving back really is something that's rewarding. And I've done a lot of things as far as we do a mobile meals here in La Crosse. One of the things we do is with our Interact Club, it is called iFeed, where we package a bunch of meals that go down to Nicaragua, and we also do a local food drive. And it's a big event with all the high schools here. And a couple of years ago, my youngest son said, "Dad, I know you and Ben are mostly have done iFeed, but I really want to help out with that this year." And to hear that from one of your children really warms your heart. And I think that's really what Rotary means to me, is to be able to show my family that giving back and doing good stuff is what it's all about. So
Thank you, Andy.
thank you, Dave.
5 questions with Andy. I never thought I'd get to do this live, and I love the unscripted thing. Your compliments. Yes, the highlight certainly for me this year, and I would say among many, was our trip to La Crosse, Wisconsin, and the friendship that we've developed. And we so look forward to making this happen as things get back to whatever normal used to be, if we can ever. Thank you again. Andy, any other comments that you want to share? When I invited you to the meeting, I think in my email I said, laid something out. Maybe you could just tell us anything that you haven't answered in those 5 questions that you'd like to tell us about this year for the La Crosse Rotary. Anything other than our time?
Yeah, I mean, it has been a very, very challenging year with everything that's gone on, not only in our Rotary Club. We lost some very key members of our Rotary Club this year, unfortunately, and our club administrator. But then on top of that, you look at the elections that we had here in this country. They were quite polarizing. So to get through that, to get through this pandemic, to get through also the civil unrest that happened in this country, I look back on it as a pretty remarkable year that we've had, and to have such a great team of Rotarians around me. I know you guys got to meet a few of them, to have their support and really their strength in this year. It's meant a lot. So I'm looking at the calendar, and it shows we got a month and 20 days left. So I am looking forward to that month and 20 days being over, but I'm also looking back with a lot of fondness and great memories, and also just excited for that next chapter. So
Thank you for sharing this morning, and thank you for a very, very special Rotary moment here with the Creston Valley Rotary Club. Thank you, Andy.
yeah, and what I'm going to do here at, well, I guess 8 o'clock your time to end it. Aaron was sending me messages, Aaron Gregory, and I think I'm going to take a walk over to Riverside Park and just give you guys a quick look at Riverside Park this time of year, if that works.
Be cool. That would be
I'll
cool.
try to stand right where you are, Dave.
You're that close. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll keep it open. We'll keep the meeting open once we're done. Next, moving on, we've done in the news. We've had our Rotary moment. We have a little bit of club business to do. Drive for Rotary meeting this Thursday is postponed. Tim will be sending out a new meeting time for Monday. He's still in a bit of a physical problems with the fall he had. I would now like to have Rob Geddes, if you could unmute yourself, Rob. Rob is chair of our working with youth in our club, and as part of our bursary committee, he took that over from Al Garrick. Rob has a motion that he would like to make with respect to bursaries.
Good morning. Thank you, President Dave. So from PCSS, we received a short list of 4 candidates. I met with the committee. We went over them, and out of those 4, 2 really stood out. And one of the things is we're not really doing much youth this year because of the pandemic. So my motion is that instead of giving $1,000 bursary, that we give out 2 $1,500 bursaries to these 2 candidates, and on a one-time basis, special need.
Could I have a seconder for that motion, please?
Second.
I'm going to accept Gary seconder. Any questions to Rob about the motion and about the one-time, one-off decision to increase the bursaries for 2 students to as made? Any questions? I will just make one comment that I received in a question from the executive. Why didn't we give 3? Well, if we gave 3, we'd have to give 4. I think Rob's comments that the 2 students that we have recommended by this committee for these bursaries stood out with the criteria that are important for our Rotary. Need was one of them, and their student service, and also some of the background work that was done. Thanks, Jen. Give you a heads up on where one of them's going. The 2 students at $1,500 in this 1 year is okay in our budget. I will ask for the question if there's no other questions. All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Thank you. The motion is carried, and Rob will now communicate to the scholarship committee at the high school that these bursaries will be increased to the 2 students. We can't name the students now because they don't get to find out until awards day, but we will properly publish them, and they will be coming back and be on our screens. Next,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm going to just do a quick update on the Honduras water project that we are part of. I'll share my screen just one more time, I hope. This is a photograph from the Creston Rotary Club's Facebook page showing that there is work on the water project that we are supporting. This is one that we are doing through the Nelson, and it's an international project. Our funds are there, and this is in the approval process. I also have a quick screen share. I need to find one more, and that's this one. And this is from Gwen Telling, who says, the grant application from Nelson Rotary Club and Santa Barbara Rotary Club has been sent to RI. They've asked the usual questions. The goal is to have it approved by the end of the month. And the supervisor for grants for Central America is helping to fast track, and they are optimistic. And thanks from Gwen, and from that, we will continue to update on the progress of our international project in Santa Barbara. Next, Aaron, would you share your screen and give us an update on our, and we need to be quick on this, please, Aaron. Thank you. You need to unmute yourself, Aaron. Okay.
Yep. So these are our analytics from Facebook. So I'm just showing you guys, we now have over 169 people who like our page. So it has grown over the last week, which is great. And then this just shows that our current post for the Wendell Community Center, the playground that we're working on, that has been reached over 2,500 people and it's been shared. So it's good to just see that now that we've posted and encourage people to share our page, that more people will now see it. And then same thing with Instagram, it's really grown over the last week. We have more, I think we increased our followers by about 40 people. And then Twitter, we still have less, but Twitter can sometimes be difficult to gain followers, but nonetheless, we are still posting on the page.
Thank you, Aaron. Is that it?
Yep, you want to be short, so I don't want to take too much time.
Just for all of you, Aaron, Jason, Meidel, and Howard and Rob are sitting with me on our Public Image and Tech Committee. We are moving a little bit faster than we have in the past. Our social media presence, because of the age of our newer members, is now getting where we want it to be. But I think, just to put that in perspective, 2 weeks ago, I think we had 16 people that liked us. Now it's 160. And just because they've just put us out there. So if you're not on Facebook, go there. Vern, you have a question.
I do, President Dave, thank you. I also shared our Creston Valley Rotary Club on my Facebook page, and I have had 90-some responses or likes to that. Is that included in your count, Aaron?
Yes.
It is, okay.
So,
Yeah, you just hit 170, Aaron, because I just liked it.
Hey, awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. I thank Aaron and Jason. Our Public Image and Tech Committee is meeting every Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Just to follow up each week. We've made a commitment to do that until we get moving a little faster on that issue. Bill Pfeiffer, could you just, again, as quickly as you can, tell us about this Friday and Saturday golf course project?
Thanks very much, President Dave. This Friday and Saturday will be our first work party of the pandemic. And the material is now in Creston, and we're going to be taking out to the golf course right after this meeting. Our work party on this Friday will start at 8:30. So hopefully that everybody will be there at 8:30 and we can get going along with the painting and also the putting up of the steel. Don't forget masks. Everybody has required to wear a mask when we get out there. And Rick asked last week about what we need to bring. I'm not sure until we review the material this morning. So Vernon and I'll send you out an email on Thursday letting you know what to bring with you. So other than that, hope to see you all out there at 8:30 on Friday morning, and then we'll finish off on Saturday morning. So that's it, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Again, for those of you, Brian Pilo,
Yeah, just sorry, quickly. I won't be able to make the work party, but if I can help out with anything else too, let me know. Sanitizer, masks, food, anything like that. Let me know, guys.
Thanks, Brian. Bill, you have that contact. You have Brian's. Now, Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I would like you to introduce our speaker today, Danny Turner. Brian is on the is working with Fields Forward Society. Danny, I believe, is the president of that society, and he has a program for us today about Creston's new regional food hub. So, Brian, could you introduce our guest?
Absolutely. Now Danny's probably getting nervous because it's me doing it. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you all. I mean, I can't say enough about Danny Turner. I mean, I've known Danny for just a short time while I've been here in Creston, and we hit it off well right away, working in amongst with CBT stuff and now Fields Forward and this food hub project. But a very well educated man, very well versed in the world of business. And just an outstanding guy to be involved in something as big of a project as this. So hopefully you all learn a lot from Danny about this project that we have going on with Fields Forward. And Danny, it's all you. Welcome and good morning to you, Danny, and nice to see you in a different kind of setting.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm actually standing in for Elizabeth Quinn, who's our executive director, who I believe had a health crisis right before the last meeting, which was why she didn't attend. So I just wanted to apologize to everyone for that. And I'm here today to go over her content. I'll talk a little bit about myself. I'll talk a little bit about Fields Forward, and then we'll really look at the value chain issue that we're trying to solve with this project in our community. Can everyone see my slides?
It looks good.
Yeah, okay. So just quickly about me. So I'm semi-retired. My family owns and operates Justamere Farm in Erickson. Some of you may know the sign as you drive by on the back road. We bought it in 2012 and we moved here full-time in 2016. My career before I retired was in management consulting with Deloitte in London. And I did that after I did my MBA at Oxford. I'm also a partner at a company called Fresh Path Services, which is an online fresh food logistics consulting business. Been very, very busy in the last year during the pandemic, helping some of the major brands in the country figure out how to do better online. One of the nice things for me is I used to fly out of Cranbrook every week. I traveled every single week, flying to Toronto, Vancouver, Edmonton, wherever to do work, even though I'm supposedly retired. And the pandemic has enabled me to learn how to much better meet with clients using technologies like this. I imagine when this is over, I'm not going to need to travel anymore. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. And I'm glad we're embracing this virtual way of meeting and talking. Although I still look forward to being in a room with people. I kind of miss that. I also serve as an executive in resident with the Columbia Basin Trust. They have a program called Rev Up, which is designed to take mid-tier companies in the Trust's region, so the Columbia Basin area, and provide them with some experienced board members to help them grow really quickly, reorganize themselves. So I do that. I'm a member of the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a group of entrepreneurs who have spun up and sold businesses and networked together. Not dissimilar to Rotary, it's just more focused on business development. I am a founding board member and I'm the current chair of Fields Forward. And I'm also on the board of the Certified Organic Association of BC, and I audit the Pacific Agricultural Certification Society. So I do a lot of stuff. Mostly now focused on agriculture and developing the organic sector in BC and Western Canada. Yeah, so for someone who's supposedly retired, and my wife tells me this every day of the year, what the hell, man? I thought you were retired, but here we go. Fields Forward. So Fields Forward was incorporated in 2018 after spending 2 years as a KES sponsored project. So it's actually started in 2016 or late 2015 at KES. And then we spun it off as a standalone society in 2018 after it kind of got some legs. Its focus is really on accelerating mid-tier agricultural producers in the Creston Valley and now expanding to the Columbia region. And so mid-tier we would define as sort of $50,000 to $1 million in annual sales, and that's sort of bigger than the farmers market, but not large enough that they can own and operate their own value chain. So, we've got some mission statements. We want to increase economic development in Creston. We want to create sustainable jobs in the farm and the food economy in our community. We want locally appropriate food production. We need to recognize where we are and the infrastructure and distribution realities of where we are and develop solutions that are appropriate to where we are. And then also, the sort of local food mission as well, improving access to local healthy food. Okay, so before I jump into the market, the value chain, and what we're trying to do, are there any questions about anything I've said so far?
Just keep going, Danny.
Okay.
We'll save questions to the end.
You got it. Okay, so what do we know about the agriculture industry in Creston Valley? Well, it's around $300 million every year, and that's fresh and value-added cherries, apples, grapes, wine, everything, all of it. Also includes timber, I believe. So local producers include the organic dairy. Everybody knows Kootenay Meadows. We've got quite a few small and mid-scale market gardens. We've got lots of orchards. We've got lots of berry producers, beef, chicken, lamb producers, and then the sort of grains, lentils, chickpeas. And these are all the sort of mid-tier sectors. We have quite a few operators in these sectors, which aren't at scale and also are not operating out of their basement. Hay and alfalfa exports are the largest sector of organic, or not, pardon me, of agriculture in our community. And then we've also got the sort of larger industrial farming sector that sits over top of it. So that's our cherry export and our beef export and all of that kind of stuff that kind of pull the whole industry up and produce quite a lot of that $300 million. Okay, so this is the value chain that we work on at Fields Forward. So we look at it as kind of a circle instead of a straight line. Starts with the primary food production, then the distribution aggregation, then processing the food, turning it into stuff that's ready for human consumption, marketing the food, getting it to market, selling it. Then we've got all the preparation and consumption. So that's the food services, restaurants, institutional, et cetera, et cetera. Then we have resource and water recovery. And as many of you know, water is quite a strong issue here in the Valley right now. But also landfill diversion, stuff like that, just dealing with waste. And then hopefully using that to spin back into the food production cycle. So what Fields Forward is trying to do is look at each one of these in the value chain and then decide where the greatest need is and then try and direct resources and projects into those elements. So I've got a few projects here that we've worked on in the last few years. So the first one is the Kootenay Mobile Press, which I think hopefully everyone here may be familiar with, hopefully with the products anyway. So this is was purchased in 2017. This is one of the projects that started at KES and then was spun into the society. The idea here was, so I worked on this with a fellow called Remo out in the Okanagan back in 2012, 2013, trying to figure out what we were going to do with the waste cherries, waste apples, sort of, culled product or ugly fruit or not number one grade stuff. And we came up with this. There was this thing going on in Europe where they had built these trailers that went around from farm to farm and processed all that waste product into juice. So Remo, he built a trailer and we did some experimentation. The first time we did cherries was on a horrible pig farm in Armstrong. My son was with me and we were doing this cherry processing and we were getting, the bees were just bananas, the wasps, because we had all these cherries sitting around on a pig farm and there's tons of wasps anyway, and he was getting stung and I was getting stung and we were trying to figure all this out, and it was definitely a gong show. So we worked on this together for about 4 or 5 years, and then we bought the press, brought it to Creston, and started offering the services to all the producers here on this mobile basis. So, since then we've diverted about 1 million pounds of fruit from the landfill. So this is all cherry culls, apple culls, stuff like that. and we've made about 250,000 liters of juice. And you'll see the packaging that we've been working on. We've got this bag in the box format here, which is what's on the left. And then the glass bottle stuff that I've been doing, which is actually, you can buy it at Brian's store right now. Just really R&D kind of stuff, not big production volumes, but more just trying to iron out the processing, trying to figure out how this thing works, looking at what lessons can we learn from it, how can we work on this. And because we have been focused on landfill and waste diversion, we've been able to get good financial support from the trust, from the provincial government, et cetera, to help us with these research and development costs, because we are actually reducing the waste that's going into our landfills. Okay, we also did another project 2018-2019 called Kootenai Farms Marketplace. So we did a survey and we heard from the local community and the local producers that there was a gap in the value chain, specifically in the marketing, sales, buying direct from producers, access to local food, all this kind of stuff. So we decided to test that out by we got a grant from the Columbia Basin Trust to go ahead and build an online food marketplace for the Creston Valley, and it was called the Kootenai Farms Marketplace. And then we invited a bunch of local producers to list their products on the marketplace, and then we made it available for sale online. What we learned very quickly was that actually nobody really needed it, and the demand was really small. We weren't getting a lot of orders. There wasn't a lot of local product that was really available for sale through this channel from the producers. So we wrapped it up in early 2020 and counted this as lesson learned. So the sort of initial feedback that we were getting that, oh, we need this direct to consumer thing, we need the farmers market online, all this kind of stuff, turned out to be not actually true. And the more successful path towards scaling these food producers and this access was to get the product into retail and food service chains. So with the support of guys like Brian and getting the products into his grocery store, instead of trying to bring the consumers to us, what we're doing instead is saying, actually, what we should do is take the food to where the people are and let them buy it at the same time that they buy their Doritos and their, all the other stuff, their Mars bars and everything. All right. So the project that we're working on now, which is the one I'm going to talk about briefly here today, is the Food Hub. So if we go back to the value chain here, what we really decided or have learned that, we've got the processing through the mobile press, distribution and aggregation still untapped, marketing still untapped. And so the Food Hub is really focusing on this side of the circle. Taking those primary products, figuring the distribution out, scaling up the processing, and helping with the marketing and placing those products into food service and retail outlets. All right, so we did a feasibility study, again, supported by the trust. And it did confirm with us that the largest gap in our value chain was in the processing and distribution, not the direct-to-consumer marketing and sales, really just in that taking the raw product and turning it into consumer ready and then placing it into grocery stores and food service chains like Gordon Food Services and Cisco and et cetera. Okay, so based on that knowledge, we then applied to the Ministry of Agriculture for $750,000 in funding in 2019. I wrote a business plan to basically open a processing facility using the mobile press as a foundation, basically take the wheels off the thing and put it in a permanent home that we could get HACCP certified federal certification for, so we could then get the products into the national chains. And we were unsuccessful, but in 2020, we were asked to reapply. And so we went ahead and reapplied in 2020 and we were awarded the grant. Okay. So what we're doing is we're building this centralized shared use facility that hopefully will accelerate the production, of these value-added food products and services coming out of the primary producers in the Columbia Valley. And when I say the Columbia Valley now, the scope of the project is expanded to include Winlaw, Passmore, Nelson, Invermere, Grand Forks, Cranbrook, and the communities in the Creston Valley. So we're really trying to take a hub and spoke approach, use Creston as the focus point, but draw products from all of these regions where there is, in a lot of these places, pretty small scale food production going on that has the opportunity to scale up. So these are the sorts of things that we're going to be offering through this facility. So, rental of equipment. We've got a few organizations in town that will be anchor tenants, meaning using it full-time year round. And then we have a group of part-time businesses that will be using it for short periods of time, seasonally or for batch processing. So we'll be using the juicer, unmounting all the equipment, putting it into the permanent facility, like I spoke about, to do that beverage packaging, freeze drying, dehydration, freezer and dry, cold, cooler, storage rental, co-packing and private labeling. So what that means is taking other people's products. And for example, one of the things I'm working on with Loblaws is like a President's Choice label that we can put on the products, and then that'll get it into all the stores. So that sort of thing. All of the food safety and labeling regulation, that's quite a lot of overhead for a small producer to try and be fully compliant with the Safe Food for Canadian regulation, Canada GAP, all that kind of stuff. It's onerous from a paperwork and compliance perspective. Training and education to help these producers sort of upskill on their business side and the processing side. Distribution, consolidated shipping. So getting everyone's products onto one truck instead of having all of these growers who are driving past each other on the Kootenai Pass and their pickup trucks waving on the way, instead of get everything on a single truck and get it over. And then finally doing the marketing and selling of the finished products into the large scale distribution networks, such as Loblaw, Save on Foods, GFS, Cisco, etc. This is a floor plan. So we're putting the facility, it's going, the address I can't remember, but it's over behind the Chevy dealer. So we're going to be building it out. This is a line drawing of some of the stuff that we're going to be doing. The types of equipment that we're putting in there. So vegetable washing line, taking your raw processed or raw harvested vegetables and washing them and packing them. Bottling line to produce the bottles at scale, like I showed that we've been trialing and prototyping with Brian. Automated line with lot code printing. Lot code printing is an important gap in the market right now, and it's required under the regulations. Most producers are like writing lot codes or hand stamping packaging. It's not scalable. Dehydrators, commercial kitchen, steam kettle, cooler freeze storage, refrigerated trucks. So just all the real infrastructure, the stuff people can't afford to drop $100,000 on for your $50,000 business. You only need it for 2 weeks a year. So we're trying to capture all of that and put it all together. The other thing is part of the project is being part of this BC Food Hub network. So there's 12 food hubs that have been funded by the province throughout the province. The Ministry of Agriculture is injecting funding in all of these. There's a computer network that they're building, which are going to connect all of these together to find additional synergies for marketing, processing, selling. So for example, producers in North Okanagan that want juice done can send their raw product to the food hub in Creston, because we're going to have the juice system set up here for bottling, for example. Or if there's a grain producer that wants to create a flour product and we don't have the packaging here, we'll be able to send that product to Kamloops and get it processed there, all using this regional network food distribution hub system. Okay. And that's the last slide I had. All right. I burned through it, Dave, because I know we had to do quick.
Thank you.
Right. I am required. I have to, Elizabeth told me I have to name all of our funders by name. So thanks to the Regional District of Central Kootenai for providing funding, the Columbia Basin Trust, the Government of British Columbia, the Economic Action Partnership here in the Creston Kootenai Lake, and the Ministry of Agriculture, now not Ministry of Forest Lands, but Ministry of Agriculture. Thanks, anyone. Any questions?
If you can unshare, Danny, go back to our regular screens. Thank you, Danny. I'm just overwhelmed. What a great program for us this morning. Let me go back to my gallery. We have time for a couple of questions. Because we do have live from La Crosse, Wisconsin. We'll have some views there in our connections, But any questions for Danny? Casey has one, and then Mike. We'll go with two questions here this morning. Casey, quick, please.
Danny, my first question was the mechanics of processing a crop. It's time sensitive, and I'm just curious whether you're going to merge the production of numerous producers into one final product that will go to market. I'm curious as the restraints of processing a certain amount of volume through a process and being able to meet the demand by the various producers that are going to want it.
Yeah, so I think it's a good question, and it's an important one. Some of the food hubs I've worked on in Alberta and down in the States find you get this tension between producers because they all want access to the infrastructure at the same time. And it becomes a bit of a scheduling problem. There's two models. The first model is the private label and aggregation model. That's using the Kootenai Farms brand or a private label like President's Choice or the co-op brands. In that case, the producer sells their product to the food hub. That's it, right? Here's the raw product, and it gets processed into a finished product through that value chain. The other is the one that we've been running with Mobile Press for the last several years, which is where each producer is scheduled based on their calendar and their timing, and then we do the processing. Right now it's custom work. We bring the trailer to the farm, and then we do the processing at the farm. Last year we had it all sitting at Beirut's farm, but it was the same thing. They brought the product to. So it depends on which model the grower wants and how they want to market their products. But I feel pretty confident based on the experience with the press over the last 3-4 years that we can schedule effectively to meet the needs. One of the things that this facility will also do is unlock shifting. So, some of the facilities that I work with down in Langley or back in Toronto, they'll run 2 or 3 shifts and they'll run for 8 or 10 months a year. The mobile press can only run during daylight hours and can only run when the outside temperature is over 4 degrees. So that really limits, the window that you can operate the thing in, and creates a lot of tension between producers. Putting it inside will allow us to free ourselves from both of those problems, where we can run it year round and we can run it 20 hours a day if we need to. Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mike Stutter, you had a question for, unmute please, Mike.
Okay, it's just that when you've got multi-producers in the area, how do you handle the quality of the final product?
To you, Danny.
Yeah, there we are. So again, it depends on the marketing model. So if it's a third party or a co-processing, co-packing model where we're taking the product and packaging it out the door, then we'll have the same sort of receiving and quality standards as, for example, the Tree Fruit Co-op uses right now. A lot of producers in our community are already familiar with that kind of grading and processing. If it's product that's being produced on a contract basis for a grower to allow them to market on their own under their own label, then I think they're responsible for their own quality standards. So, with those two models in mind, I think we're going to solve both sides, but definitely quality is a challenge. And having those receiving standards in place is one of the things that this will allow us to do, because, we roll up with the trailer right now and we're already there. We're already set up. The apples are in bins laying all around the place. And if they're all crap, then it's a hard conversation to have. Easier if we know before the product arrives what we're dealing with.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for you have just opened up for all of us a great look at what our community, I think we all know that there's so much progress going on in this business and the Valley, what we've known for. We're going to have you back, Danny. And I'm going to tell Rick early on in his Rotary year, to get the Fields Forward Society and Danny back to give us an update of where we are. Special thank you, Danny, for a great program from all of us. Now, let's just go live, please, if you have, to Andrew in okay, Andrew, could you show us and unmute yourself and tell us where you are?
Yeah, now I'm down at Riverside Park. I'm trying to recreate the background that you have here with the bridges in the background. So I thought it would be neat to show you. I don't have the flowers are not blooming in the flower boxes yet, but it's quite beautiful down here right now this time of year. And I'm going to turn the camera around and just kind of show you a view here of La Crosse and the downtown. And over here you have our band shell, which is fairly new. And we'll have music again here this year at the new band shell. I don't know if you can see the support structure for the band shell, but those were trees that were logged here locally and had to go out and get picked for this exact band shell. And continuing up the park, we have our Rotary Gardens way at the other end of the park. And those are our friendship gardens. And we have 7 friendship cities, and we have a garden for each city. So, so that's pretty awesome and exciting. So with that, that's my quick little guide.
Andy, thank you so much. What a treat to have you as a guest and to share a Rotary moment and to, I would say, cement our connection with our clubs. And we will, I'll tell Rick that he has to put that in his budget for next year too, as we will hopefully welcome you into our community.
Yeah, I can't wait for the border to be open again, because I think we got a lot of people here chomping at the bit to come see Creston. So.
And us too. Thank you very much. Jen, birthdays and anniversaries, please.
I thought he'd be on today for it. Steve Takis turns, I don't know, on May 16th.
Steve.
Doesn't give us a date. Oh, he is here.
Steve is here for happy birthday. So Steve, instead of everyone doing it, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Steve. Happy birthday to you and many more. Steve,
Hi,
great
Steve.
to see
Happy
you again.
birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy Bucks and connections. I'm just going to share 2. One, happy buck in connection with Leon. Leon and Marilyn will be leaving us at the end of the month. Make sure that you say your special connections with them. Take your time to get out and say goodbye to Leon and Marilyn. They have both been integral parts of this club for many years and this community. They will be moving back to Saskatchewan at the end of May. One last happy buck and connection that I got this week. I reached out to Brian Pilo. He sent me I think he was trying to explain why he'd missed a few meetings. I got damn tired reading that letter that he sent to me. He's been one busy man, not to mention his involvement with Fields Forward, but his local store has been selected by Loblaws nationally as an example of how a business and a business owner gets involved in the community. And Brian apparently is trying to teach the rest of the Loblaw owners across the country how to be involved in their community. Brian, congratulations, and we recognize you for that. Now, we don't have a lot of time for the others. It's just been a great busy meeting this morning. I thank all for being here. We have coming dates this week, the Golf Club Work Project. If you have any questions, we all know where Bill lives on 20th and Cedar. We also know that he's got an email and his computer is back up and working. See you on Friday morning for the work project. Also coming up, May 29th, the window playground installation. Casey will be giving more details on that. If you haven't liked our Facebook or joined Facebook, check it out. Check out our website. We posted a story also there. Next week's program, Rob Geddes is going to give us a program on Creston Valley Rotary Club and our youth programs, which will include the bursaries, RILA, and generally some training that he's been undergoing with Rotary at the district and international level. Anything else for the good of Rotary before we wrap it up this morning? If not, thank you all for being here this morning. Thank you especially to our guests, Danny Turner, for an absolutely incredibly informative program, and for Andy for taking the extra time. Even 2 hours after the fact, we're just glad that you made it. And what a great connection, the live, the story, our Rotary moment. All of you have a great week in Rotary. That's all, folks. Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Dave. Good to see you again. I'll send you an invite for Thursday.